Hey there, fellow citizen of the internet. Welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast. Today I have with me Arias WebsterBerry. Hope I got that right. And we're gonna try to tackle on growth and entrepreneurship. And so, Arias, welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast.
Moses, thank you for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you here, sir. So let's we're gonna be talking about entrepreneurship here, of course, but can you unpack for us real quick? What does that entail? What does that term entail? It's too broad.
I agree. Entrepreneurship wasn't really a term until, maybe the 90s or early 2000s. You just had people who own businesses. Essentially, now it means anybody who's a gig worker, all the way up to, someone who started a company that's now in the Fortune 500. But to me, it's just a hustler, someone who has a product or a service that solves a problem for a particular group of people. And they've put, a name to it, and they're delivering that product or service to them consistently.
Consistently, I like that. Okay, so that's this is great. Now I do like to explore the upbringing of my guests before diving deeper into their competencies.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you? Where were you born? What was high school like for you?
I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I grew up in San Diego, so that's where I actually went to high school.
Okay.
So I like the tail end of middle school, high school, beginning of college. I did that all in Southern California. I was a pretty normal kid. Grew up in the suburbs. With a single mom. I had some turbulence at some point. Before I was an entrepreneur. I was just a kid growing up in the world, and the world seemed like it was designed to test me. By the time I was 18, we had lived in over 12 places. My father struggled with addiction. Both of my parents were incarcerated at one point, and I lost my father when I was just 13. And these challenges, they could have held me back, but, they became my foundation for resilience, for creativity. It helped me build my drive to make something of myself and to contribute something meaningful to the world.
Hmm. Wow. By the age of 13. Ooh, that's a heavy one. Um, so then how did you end up in Texas?
Grew up in Texas. We moved to San Diego. And then I want to say 2011, a couple years after the economy tanked. California was one of the hardest hit states in the country, with the housing crisis, with short-term credit freezes, lots of bankruptcy and just enormous amounts of issues in the state because it was over leveraged. And I stuck it out for a couple years, and I finally said, this sucks. I'm moving back home. I packed up my stuff, went back to Texas, and I landed at my grandmother's house, trying to get back on my
Okay.
feet. So, that was like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And I've been here ever since.
Okay. And high school life. Were you a popular kid? Were you shy? Were you yeah? How were
I
you?
say I was fairly popular.
Okay.
My school, my mom did a some kind of wizardry to get me into a school in kind of a lower upper class neighborhood where the kids had a
Mm,
lot more
mm,
money than we did. They came from two parent households. They had disposable income, and all of them had fairly new cars and pools in their backyard. And my school
yeah.
was maybe 8 minutes from the beach, 6 to 8 minutes from the
Wow.
beach. Um, so high school
Mm,
was kind of a culture shock in that, one, the vast majority were white, Asian, of Middle Eastern descent. There weren't a lot of black kids, so that kind of helped me stand out. But I also played sports, so I played basketball, I played football, I ran track. So that helped out with a little bit of the popularity in making friends. But, socioeconomically, I didn't fit. I rode the bus, the city bus every day to school on my own.
Okay.
And, these other kids were driving, Mustangs and Mercedes to school.
Okay. I lived in Calabasas for about 9 months, 8 or 9 months, and that was almost a culture shock in the sense that I'll be driving my hatchback and then there's just like 16-year-old whipping it off on a Lamborghini left and right, and it's just if I was coming from a completely different or if I had a different mindset in life, that would have thrown me off for a loop. With that being said, though, what role do you think that played in your ability to I guess I don't know if being okay is the right term here, but like being okay with sticking out like a sore thumb?
I think it taught me a lot of things. For where I am now and the things that I would eventually achieve, it definitely made me comfortable being the token black guy, being the only black guy in predominantly white spaces. It made me embrace that and not try to whitewash, as they would say, or try to conform or be more like them. I am who I am. I'm proud. I'm black. I'm African American, and there's no hiding that. So I think it helped me to be even more comfortable in my skin because I was reminded of it, on an hourly basis, that I was the black kid. But also I think the economic part of it gave me a glimpse of what was possible, how the other half lived, after school, going to their homes and, you're in this 6-7 bedroom house in a canyon, on top of this hill or mountain, looking over the water or over this, valley, having 2, 3, 4 cars, having expensive art and statues around and art on the wall, seeing a nuclear family and, getting to absorb some of the lessons and the conversations that their parents were having with them just because I happened to be, in the vicinity. Definitely shaped me. It showed me something different that I had experienced as a kid. It showed me that what I would probably want to do with my kids at the time. And at the time, I wasn't thinking that, but reflecting on it now.
Right.
And it also, it helped me to chart a path for what I would do as a father, right? In a lot of these conversations, I had a lot of friends that couldn't even imagine half of the things that I went through, and I saw some of their parents and how they handled them. And I said, there's some things that I would love to be able to do that for my kids. They come back and say, we went snowboarding over the Christmas break. And I'm like, snowboarding? You guys were in a cabin in the mountains somewhere? Wow. I never thought of that, right? So it definitely expanded my worldview and my understanding of what was possible.
Okay, there's two things that you touched on that stand out for me, and that's the power of proximity, right? So just being in the vicinity of where things are happening and how that rubs off on you. And then you said this in passing, but I think it carries a lot more weight than we often talk about, and that is the importance of a two-parent household, right? So can you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm by the way, I'm stealing that. The power of proximity. That's a good one. I like alliteration. So yeah, the power of proximity and the power of a two-parent household. Back in the day, old folks used to say, you're guilty by association. right?
Word. Yeah.
And that was it. There were times where that association got me in trouble.
Right. Right. Right.
But my mom one thing she always told me, because my mom worked hard. She worked 2 full-time jobs. So most of the time she wasn't around. My dad wasn't around. He wasn't even in the same state once I was in high school. But, she would tell me, hey, one, don't ever walk out of this house without your ID, because, you are a black kid in America. And if something goes wrong, you need to prove you are who you say you are. But also, she also said, you are a black kid in America, and a lot of the things that these kids get away with, you cannot. So make sure you keep your nose clean, be aware of what's going on, and make sure that you always come home with me. So, the proximity thing, there were a lot of experiences that I had, like the first time I had sushi, I was out with some friends and their parents at a birthday party. The first time I went surfing, I was out with some friends, on the beach. None of my black friends surfed. The first time I went to a bonfire, the first time I went kayaking or snorkeling, all these amazing, hallmark moments I was having just because I was in proximity to people who were better off than me and my family. So it really, again, showed me that most of those things don't cost anything, right? They're free. The beach is free. The waves are free. It may cost a little money to maybe rent some gear, but knowing that those things are possible, knowing someone that does those things, then opens the realm of possibility for you to also do those things. They don't seem as foreign or so as intangible when someone who's done it, or you've been able to sample it. So yeah, the power of proximity, huge. And then the power of a 2-parent household. Again, I didn't really know a lot of people that came from 2-parent households that looked like me. No one in my line, was really married. My mom wasn't married. My grandmother at the time wasn't married. My great grandmother was, just most of the people, my aunts, my uncles, I didn't see a lot of marriage. I didn't see a lot of happy, healthy relationships. And being in these areas, most of them had 2-parent households, or maybe they were divorced, but they were co-parenting and doing so in a seemingly organized and decent fashion. So it was completely different than what I had saw. Again, I back in Dallas and in Houston and in Arkansas, also where my family is from, that's not normal. So, just coming into the house and it's like mom and dad and, or that masculine and feminine energy that's in the household. I just noticed that it was warmer, it was more full, and the kids seemed a little more at ease because there was a lot more stability and care there.
Okay. Yeah. I had to ask that a little bit more because it's just, I don't hear that often. People bringing up the role that a 2-parent household offers as far as medium to long term success in life, and success here I would define it as, or I guess independently of one's definition of success, the impact of a 2-parent household is just it's way too understated. So then what made you think that you could start something that closely resembles a business? And did you have examples of this I guess I can try to unpack that later on, but what made you try to put your best foot forward in starting a business?
Yeah, my first business, I was 10, 11 years old. I was walking home from school one day, and I really, really liked dogs. I was kind of obsessed with them around that time. And so was my cousin. I think he loved them more than me. And I was walking home from school and I just heard all these dogs in the backyard barking. It was just like, man, I hear all these dogs barking, but I never actually saw any of them, when I was out playing and doing things. I heard them, but I never saw them. And one of the programs I watched said that it was important for dogs to have at least an hour of, being walked and moving around, at least an hour. So it just occurred to me that, man, these dogs should be out being walked. What if I were to go around and ask people if I could walk their dogs? So I thought it was a great idea. I grabbed my cousin. I enlisted him in this endeavor, and we went out knocking on doors and asking people if we could walk their dogs for $5. And, we did. And I got home, a couple hours after that. And I ran up to my mom and I was like, Mom, look, I think I had maybe $20 or $30, something like that.
Wow.
And she was like, where'd you get this money from? I said, I went around and I walked some dogs. And he said, walk dogs? Whose dogs? And I was like, oh, the neighbors. I knocked on their door and they gave me $5. And she was like, you knocking on strangers' doors?
Yeah.
No, sir. We are not doing that. You are out of your mind. Stranger danger. So, my first entrepreneur endeavor lasted like a few hours because my mom shut that down. But I always say I got it honestly. It naturally occurred to me, when you ask me what an entrepreneur is, it's someone who solves a problem. I had identified a problem, which was dogs weren't getting walked, but there was an abundance of them. There was a market. And the solution was, I'll go do this for you, in exchange for a little money. And, again, I understand it now because I do business every day. But at the time, it just seemed like the most naturally occurring thought in the world, right? Someone has a need. There's a market. It's valuable for me to do this thing, in exchange for a little money. And, after that, I didn't do anything entrepreneurial until maybe high school. I started throwing parties. So again, I was an athlete, so I knew a good amount of people both at my school and kind of around the neighborhood. Which I did that in high school and college, which unexpectedly taught me the power of connecting with people and building a following. This naturally evolved into social media marketing for a record label and eventually nightclubs. And after that, I got into throwing small concerts, bigger concerts, and then I got into festivals. So my largest event was the Hip Hop 101 Music and Arts Festival at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. We had Janelle Monáe. That was actually her first performance in an arena. She had never performed in an arena before. We had Common, we had Ludacris, we had Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys, and a whole lot of other artists. And I was executive producer on that. And that was my first foray into true marketing. We did everything. We got billboards, we did radio, we did TV. I negotiated special contract with social media platforms. We sent out multiple street teams, and coordinating them in the logistics. It allowed me to put together a full marketing plan and then execute that. And I had a significant budget to execute that. So that was the first like marketing that I had done, past the smaller things that I had done in nightlife. And then when the 2009 recession hit, it was I pivoted. A couple years later, I moved to Texas. I got a marketing consultant role at Reach Local, which at the time was the largest digital marketing firm in the world. And that's where I got my hands-on training and realized the true potential of digital marketing and realized that it was the future.
Okay, that digital marketing was the future. Wow. So being 11, seeing some dogs, liking dogs, and then identifying that opportunity. That's amazing right there. Because opportunities, they're all over the place, right? But not everybody
Indeed.
identifies them, right? So the ability to identify an opportunity and then test the market, which in this case you just walked up to strangers and you're like, hey, can I walk your dog? That's that's innate, as you said. It's not like, you were taught about it, or you saw people, doing it, and you just it something in you made you just wanna go out and do that. Um, So then, fast forward to today. Are there examples like when your mama's like, "Hey, no knocking on strangers' doors, so we're gonna shut this business down." That business is a great idea. People today
Mm-hmm.
are making tons of money doing that very same business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but are there examples today where you start an endeavor, and a figurative mom steps in, that like, "Hey, nah, no, 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 this is the gatekeepers, as we'd call them, that pop
Oh,
up left and
absolutely.
right."
Absolutely. I many years ago, before my agency was what it is today, one of the things that we used to do is we had developed some technology that we called InstaFuel, and
Hmm.
essentially it was a follow unfollow strategy. So we had built
Okay.
a bot that would you kind of give us access to your profile, and we would um, find a list of accounts that you want to follow, whether that's from the followers of competitors, or
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
that we would find under a hashtag or a location. We would follow them, we would like a couple posts, and then that would get them to know that you exist, check your profile, and then some of them would follow back, right, and become engaged with your
Right.
profile, and then we'd unfollow a significant amount, and then we'd go through the process again. And that worked really, really well. We helped an enormous amount of people. We had, I think, close to 1,000 customers at one point, and everything was going great. It was like one of the first businesses that I had ran that truly had taken off, and I made six figures, like
Hmm. Hmm.
significant money, and I was making it hand over fist. I was just ecstatic. And then the
Yeah.
proverbial mom that stepped in was Instagram. They completely rewrote their algorithm. They changed
Mm.
their terms of service and made it so that a business like that couldn't operate. And
Right. Right. Right.
like within a week, that line was basically shut down. That product line.
Yeah.
Um, and it was tough, right? I had to, some accounts had got suspended because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
activity. That's how we learned that they had changed their terms of service. Um, but it taught me to always be improving, always figure out how to expand your offerings, how to stay ahead of what's happening in your market, keep your ear to the ground, um, so that you can control the outcome and prepare.
Yeah, yeah. So real quick here, did you have good examples of money management as you were growing up?
You said of money management?
Money management, yeah,
Oh
like
no,
personal
not at all.
finances. Yeah.
No, not at all.
So then,
I was like, it
when
wasn't
you
even a
started
thing.
making, yeah, when you started making this six figures, how did you manage your finances?
I like most who don't come from money, I blew a lot of it. Right, I was just
Right,
excited,
right.
and money
Okay.
was coming in so
Yeah,
fast. I was like, I'm not
yeah.
worried about it because it's just coming.
It's coming in.
Um,
Yeah.
so I burned a ton of money. Took trips and bought cars
Mm.
and
Yeah.
pop bottles at the club, and bought clothes, and helped friends and family, did all kinds of stuff. Because I was
Okay.
making
Okay.
a healthy six-figure income. Um, and it was tough when the gravy train stopped. You know,
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
but the great thing, I'm so thankful for that lesson and that experience. It's definitely tougher having it and losing it than never having it at all.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
But in doing so, one, it taught me that it was possible in
Right.
what
Right.
life is like when you have money.
Mm.
Is
Mm.
definitely better than when you don't. But more importantly, it taught me to prepare for the rainy days. Be a good
Right.
steward over your
Right.
money. Realize that Money goes up and money goes down, even for the wealthiest individuals, right? The billionaires of the world at some point have setbacks in their businesses, reduction in their income, and you need to be conservative with what you're spending. You need to save. More importantly, you need to invest into things that make money without passively, without you actively having to do anything. So, in future endeavors, and as I started making money, I was a lot more slow to just spend money haphazardly. I was very much like, hey, I need to put this much aside to make sure I can cover like an emergency fund. I started looking for opportunities to invest money into things that didn't require me to, pay attention to them all the time. And that's been able to carry me even in the downtimes.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, from the entrepreneurial side of the equation, what would you say are some of the biggest pitfalls that small business make when they're at their early stages on the finance side of things?
On the finance side of things.
So, for example, like the on my half of things, right? So I consider myself a small business, and I simply help individuals and businesses leverage podcasting as a means to grow. One of the mistakes that I see that I've had to continually try to correct is that I have to be intentional about my return on investment, right? So if I spend $2 on advertisement, how much am I getting back per literally per dollar? And I can be on top of it for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden I'm spending money and without continually checking if I'm getting a return on it, and it's a full circle. So is there an example like that for small businesses?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times when you're a small business, you don't focus on profit centers, which is counterintuitive, because without making money and making profit, you don't truly have a business. But
right.
We get bogged down in the busy work, and you think that the busy work is business, and it's not. Just because you're busy does not mean you're being productive or profitable. So trying to strip off all of the extra stuff. Oh, I need to update my website. Oh, hey, I need to, play with my logo a little bit more, or let me go take this course, or let me, go to this event where, they're going to teach me about blah, 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 or I'm going to get on YouTube and try to learn a new skill or whatever. And that ends up taking up a majority of your day. And what you should be doing is focusing on the thing that brings you profit, what generates revenue, right? And that should be 80% of your day. And you take all the other stuff and you fit it into 20%. Those busy work things, those should take longer to complete because you're spending less time on them. And the profit or the revenue generating or prospecting, generating leads, marketing to pull in leads and prospects should be taking up the majority of your calendar. And once you focus on those things and you truly commit yourself to them, well, then you start to see the patterns. You start seeing the process in what you do, and in the best practices to get results consistently. And once you do that, well, then you can find someone to take over those things so that they're consistently being done even when you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I like that. Can anybody be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I mean, the great thing, especially in this country, you can get paid to do anything. Every single thing that you see or touch is a business, right? From toilet paper to paper clips to T-shirts and glass, right? Everything is being sold by someone. So if you have a passion for anything, it can be turned into a business. Now, the caveat is not everybody should be. Not everyone is built to be an entrepreneur. I always know when I'm talking to a new entrepreneur when they say, I want to start my business. I can't wait to start my business because, I don't like people telling me what to do. and I want to be able to control my calendar and
Right.
sleep in and work when I want to and travel when I want to. That tells me that you're new at this, because
Right.
as an
Right.
entrepreneur, you are going to work longer. You're going to work harder than you ever would at your business. You're going to take, it's going
Right.
to take more of a emotional toll on you than your job or your boss does. It is not going to be waking up late for late lunches and, you and your laptop on a beach in Bora Bora most of the time. It is
Right.
waking up
Right.
early, going to sleep late, being stressed most of the time, not having the funds to do the things that you want to, not knowing how you're going to get, your goals and your bills paid. That's the reality of entrepreneurship for most, and being confused as to what your priorities are most of the time. So it's definitely not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. I think most people should be very thankful for the job that they have, and they should work harder at being better at it instead of, taking an expedition into this thing called business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I would like to double emphasize this whole being confused on what the priorities are, because for sure it was like earlier, I was sitting downstairs, and I have a lot on my plate today. For some reason I just scheduled a lot of things for Mondays, and yet there I was for 45 minutes listening to a congressional hearing that took place a few days ago, on Congress was grilling this a panel for individuals on UFOs and non-human biologics, right? So my mind confused, got me to concentrate on a congressional hearing instead of literally preparing for the very things that I have today, which is a substantial amount. But yeah, being confused on the priorities, this happens to me literally on a daily. It's like, my goodness, I have to fight myself to get to it. So I want to go back to messaging and packaging of messaging, as far as and the promotion side of things, trying to promote your business as an entrepreneur, and piggybacking on metrics. Allow me to get my thoughts together here. I hear it just left and right. Hey, focus on click-through rates, focus on this, focus on that, open rates, close rates. And I think about 4 weeks ago, I was like, you know what? None of these metrics are actually leading to a better product and or an improved service. So I'm going to dispense, more or less, with all these metrics and simply focus on the things that improve my service, or at the very least lead to a sale, right? So can you touch on some of the things that new entrepreneurs focus on that really have no business focusing on? It's I don't know what the term is, but it feels like there's a lot of things that carry a lot of weight, but they really don't on a day-to-day basis. It's just busy work, as you put it earlier on.
Yeah, so obviously I run a digital marketing agency, WebsterBerry Marketing. So, we have enormous amounts of clients. We have very large clients like, the Crown Plaza Hotel, Nyack Cognac, which is, an international spirit. And then we have like big travel companies like JetQuest. So we handle, marketing for all of these companies. So we're very deep into the metrics, like you said, CTR, click-through rates, and cost per click, and you're looking at open rates for emails, and ultimately what matters is your conversion rates. So conversion is the term we use across everything, and for everybody it's a little different, but ultimately, how much traffic or attention are you generating, and how much of that attention or traffic is turning into leads, and how many of those leads are turning into customers, like money in your pocket. There's a lot of different metrics and stuff like that, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in vanity metrics. That's what we call them. So, I posted a video on TikTok and I only got 50 views. My other video got 5,000. there's a big discrepancy. You should probably figure out why you're having such a contrast between the two. But if that video that only had 50 views led to 5 customers, and the video that had 5,000 views led to none, which one's more valuable?
Right.
So it's conversion. That's why I said the conversion. How many people did you convert from attention to customer ultimately? And if you focus on those numbers and don't get caught up in popularity and likes and shares and all of that stuff. Right. I mean, those things are indicators that you're in the right realm. But ultimately, is that lending itself to profitability? Are people moving to purchase? Are they giving you their contact information because they're honestly interested in you and your business and your offerings? Or are you just tap dancing, doing dances on TikTok, and you get all these followers and all these likes and all these views, but you're still broke? I know quite a few of those. I know a lot of influencers. I know one in particular that has, I think, 1.8 million followers, but is not monetized that following. Very well known, but cannot figure out how to turn the corner to profitability. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing is focusing on your bottom line and using these social media platforms, using all of these metrics to tell you if you are resonating with your audience, but you need to stay laser focused on converting that audience into dollars.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That's music to my ears. Now, one last topic here that I want to explore. So for those of you that are average listeners of the channel, average meaning like you hear pretty much every episode, you're probably like sick of hearing this the following statement, but there is a huge distance between our conceptual understanding of X and the implementation of that understanding. So what would you say are some of the most commonly given advices that literally land on deaf ears?
That you need to learn sales.
Sales.
Yes. Many business owners, many people, not even just business owners, treat the word sales, salesman, sales pitch as a dirty word. But sales is a synonym for revenue or profit. Without sales, you have no revenue. Without revenue, you have no profit. And if you as a business owner or an aspiring entrepreneur, business owner, have not taken the time to acquire the skill of selling, because it is a skill. It's not a talent. It's not a talent, something that you're born with. It is something that you develop. If you haven't taken the time to develop that as a skill, well, then you are just playing at entrepreneurship. You're not actually an entrepreneur. You are missing the point. You are wasting time, money, and energy. Because at the end of the day, all the views, all the likes, all the updates to your website and the blog and your YouTube and, coming on podcast, that's great. But at the end of the day, someone needs to pay the bills. And that's supposed to be your customer. So your ability to sit down with someone who's interested, explain what it is that you do and how it's going to solve their problem, right? And make sure that they have a problem that you can solve, because you shouldn't sell people things they don't need. And doing so consistently, doing so efficiently, doing so ethically, that is the mark of a true salesman. And if you are a great salesman and you can, handle that piece, but also manage the operations and fulfillment of a business, well, now you're truly in business and you should be pretty successful.
Okay. That's super, super simple and straightforward, but in practice, it's a whole different game. Like you said, it's a skill. It is a skill. So if you were going to ask me, I suppose, for a sale, how would you approach it?
I mean, first, I want to get to know you. Who are you, right? Where are you
Mm,
from, right? I want to focus on the individual instead of focusing on myself, which is the sale. I want to know where you from. I want to know
mm, mm.
about your problem, right? What problem are you currently having? Um, because I need to know if I can actually solve it. I don't want to go in straight with the
Right,
solution
right.
because I don't know if you have a problem. And if you do, I don't know exactly what your problem is from your perspective. So
Mm,
first,
mm.
get to know or establish rapport. Then you want to discover. I want to learn about your problem and get a full, comprehensive understanding of that. And then from there, well, I want to then present the solution based on what you've told me. Me actually
Mm,
knowing you
mm.
and your situation, and obviously having a understanding of what we have to offer. And if I feel
Right.
that there's a solution, I say, hey, I think that you should do this, this, and this, or use this product and this product and this product. And here's how it's going to help. Earlier, you told me that you're having a problem with ABC. Well, this product handles 1, 2, 3. It solves those things. And hey, you don't know me. We've never done business. So let me give you some examples of other people who have had the same problem that we've been able to solve with a
Mm, mm.
product or service 1, 2, 3. And then after, see if they have any questions. Do you have any
Okay.
questions on what I just presented? Yeah, you said that this thing can whirl around and do this. How long does that take? Well,
Mm,
what if
mm.
this happens? Or have you ever come across such and such? You handle
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
questions and you keep handling the questions and you keep handling the questions until they have no more. And then
Mm,
you ask for
mm.
the sale.
Okay, okay.
Hey, so based on
Ask.
what you've heard today, let's go ahead and get you started. What car would you like to use?
Mm, mm. Okay, okay. Yeah. Huh. I like that. I like that. I feel like many people when we get to that point, we're like, so how would you like to continue? You know what I mean? Like you kind of beat around the bush and you don't wanna say, hey, so based on this and the solutions that we can provide, like you said, how would you like to proceed? How would you like to pay? Which card are you using today? It's more
Yeah.
authoritative, and so many of us are like too shy to come across as that authoritative. But at the end of the day, like you said, you're not running a charity. This is the bottom line. You know, you're running a business,
Yeah.
and selling is the yeah, is the key point here. Man, it's crazy that we're at the top of the hour already. I really wanna say thanks for dropping in here. And if people wanna learn more about you and the services that you offer, where do they find you?
Yeah, you can go to ariaswebsterberry.com. So just like my name on the screen, Arias, Arias, Websterberry, WebsterBerry.com. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you are looking to scale your business and maybe you feel lost, you haven't hit your first 6 or 7 figures, and you need some structure, you need some guidance, you need some coaching, and not somebody who's just going to give you some videos to take a look at, but will actually get in and help you organize and structure your business, well, then Launch Ignition is for you. Again, you can go to my website, ariaswebsterberry.com, or you can go directly to launchignition.ai. We'd love to talk and see if we might be able to help.
Arias, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Happy Monday to you.
Thank you, sir.
How do you think that went?
I think